Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Tried posting this on /b/ kept on discounting. So figured I'll try here and see what y'all think. I'm 13 and living at home with my parents. I'm super scared of the dark cause I used to see things in my closet, like glowing red eyes. Everyone thinks it's just my imagination, but I still think I see it every so often. My parents and little bro go out for the weekend, leaving me home all alone. Hell yeah. Play video games all day until midnight. I get hungry, so I go downstairs. I hear something when walking down the stairs. I figure it's just the dogs. It sounds like the claws walking along the hard wood. I turn on every light because I'm scared of the dark as I head into the kitchen. I walk into the kitchen, grab some munchies, then I start to make my way back upstairs. But I make sure that the back door is locked because I'm paranoid. I head up the stairs and into my room when I see my parents' bedroom door open. It's pitch black. Looks like something is in there. I slowly backed away, scared, as I grabbed my flashlight. I didn't have a smartphone yet. Walks back to the hallway, calls out the dog's name as I flick the flashlight on. Nothing moves. Can't see anything. Just the bed with some clothes that looks like some monster. Laugh a little and close my parents' door. That place had a scary-ass closest. I decided to head back to my room and close the door. I hear the dogs walking around again. I suddenly stop and look at my door. Wait, the dogs aren't home. They left with my parents. What is inside? I barricade the door with my bed and bookcases in the dresser. Turns everything I can on. I take a short pocket knife and make a weak-ass spear with a small flag thing. Something scratches at the door. Does it all night whining like a hurt dog. Nope, not going to open the door. Can't sleep. Screw that demon dog. Suddenly it stops. Get scared. Super low but loud growl that shakes the walls. A screech so inhumane it makes every part of me want to run away. Suddenly something slams into the door. It starts sounding like there's fighting outside my door. Sounds like World War III. Scared as shit. Then it stops. Nothing makes a sound but me. I slowly open the door. See a bunch of a black substance everywhere. Like blood. Torn walls, claw marks, the hell. I keep on looking. I see something move in the corner of my eye. Slowly look. A pit of darkness looking right at me. Sees the red glowing eyes. Slowly raise my poorly made spear. It grins, showing me thousands of fangs in an endless mouth. Nope. I passed out. I wake up from the light of the sun. I look around and everything is normal. But I got an ache all over my body. Remember last night? Scared as hell again, and I look around. Looks everywhere but the closest in my old room. I gulped and opened the door. In the closest is a toy I lost when I was 8. Just out in the open. I lost it and slammed the door and ran away. I don't sleep until my parents get home. I tell them everything that happened. They don't do anything and say I'm seeing things. To this day, I remember that. Sleep with a light all the time, and when weird abnormal stuff happens around me, I can always find those eyes, watching me. So yeah, what do you make of that? I got a few other stories about the glowing red eyes, as it's been dubbed in my family. All right, got another one for y'all. Be 15 now, my parents know all about it. I'm kind of skeptical, but weird things have been happening around the house for the last year. Stuff moving around, people seeing things, and bad feelings. Another weekend, parents and little bro head out. Parents to a wedding and little bro to a friend's house. I got the dog, so I feel slightly safer knowing I'm not alone. I just watch TV. Suddenly, something smashes into the basement door. Nope, not dealing with it. Put a chair in front of door to pin it shut and turn every light on in the house. Not dealing with it again. I try to tune out the scratching and banging for some time and eventually head upstairs. The dogs are flipping out, growling and barking at the door. I get them to come upstairs and once again lock myself into the bedroom. Play games to keep my mind off of things. Dogs keep growling and barking at the bedroom door. The handle shakes and something begins to push the door open. Run to the door faster than I thought possible and shove against it, trying to keep it closed. Spend what's like hours but only minutes fighting it. Suddenly, everything stops like before. I take out a combat knife and turn the phone flashlight on and begin to look outside the room. Dogs acting like nothing happened. Find nothing out of the ordinary other than the basement door being open. Decide to not test fate. Turn on the basement light and barricade the door again. I head back upstairs to try and sleep. Entire time I hear something. It sounds like a woman whispering. Scared as sin, but nothing happens. Don't get any sleep. Nothing really dramatic, but yeah, still scary. But yeah. Anyways, another story before I head off for the night. Maybe someone will also share similar experiences. Anyways, this story doesn't involve the red eyes. Involves something else. Be around 15 and go to Dad's cabin for a month during summer. Dad lives in the middle of nowhere with like 0 bars on your phone, and you need a satellite phone in order to make calls. The place is nice as hell. The driveway is like a 2-minute drive, and he lives on a large property in a cabin above the main house. And it's in the middle of the woods, like the middle of them. You look outside, trees everywhere. This is also a regular forest, so you can see deer, rabbits, coyotes, and other animals like that. Dad loves it. He's a nature freak. He's like an ex-hunter who only hunts rogue animals now. Likes watching nature and stuff. It's like his dream home. So get there after the long-ass ride listening to the radio. Something about a pack of wolves moving into the area. Dad seems confused by this, so I ask what's wrong. He says that the nearest wolf pack is easily 100 kilometers out of this area. Doesn't make sense for them to be here. So it's either something scared them off, or these have gone rogue. Either way, it means trouble. The ride goes on in silence for a bit as the radio plays some music again. We get to his place and I unpack my limited junk, my compound bow and some clothes. We hang out for the rest of the day and he says he'll show me the area in the morning. So I went to bed, skipped to the hike. Dad and I head out. He has me take my bow and knife while he takes his crossbow and knife. Says something about a bad feeling. So we walked around. Place is a death trap. All around the cottage, except for 2 ways, is a massive cliff with like a 50-foot drop, and you wouldn't even realize it. So we head down the back path. The front path is near the house and how you get up. We walked around a bit and came across some animals, mostly deer. We get to what I dubbed Split Rock. Massive rock, like 10 feet wide, that splits down in the middle perfectly. Not a single crack. Kinda cool, so I asked Dad about it. He says something about a tree probably causing it. We continued on our hike to the edge of the forest when suddenly I got a bad feeling as well. Feels like something is going to go down. We walk around a large amount of brush and see a dead doe. Fresh kill and half-eaten. A growl comes from right. I spin on a dime and knock an arrow, pulling the bow back. Dad raises his crossbow and we wait. 3 of the biggest wolves I've ever seen walk out. Blood on their muzzles, growling at us. Now I was scared shitless, but I learned from other encounters with wolves. They don't attack you unless you A, show weakness, B, try to harm them, C, steal their kill, or D, are a threat to their young. So Dad takes the lead and tells me to keep eye contact with the beta wolf while he watches the alpha. We slowly back up as they walk forward until they're over the kill. Dad stops, so I stop. Wolves are still growling, but seem to be more relaxed. Dad slowly lowers the crossbow like it's some kind of understanding between him and the wolves. I'm told to do the same, so I do it. Wolves stop growling and just watch us. The beta drags the kill away to the rest of the pack, I guess, and the alpha walks forward, then stops and begins looking off to the north. It howls and bolts. We hear the others bolt too. Dad has one of those looks that say something isn't right look. Tells me to keep bow ready and we head off to the house. So we went back and grabbed the dog. Forgot to mention, Black Lab is a very smart dog and kind too. Has us go into the truck and he talks to the landlord. Something about the woods and then gets into the truck. We headed to the local police department. It's a little place because the community is small. So Dad talks to the sergeant after we wait a bit. Then talks about the wolves. The cop says something spooked them and that wasn't the only pack moving in. Also says that they are leaving pretty quickly. Dad suggests calling someone from the environmental services or whatever they are called. The officer says that's already done. Dad just nods and heads back. We head back to the place and head to bed. That night, woken up by some of the strangest noises. Sounds like yips, but more high-pitched. All over the place. But in the distance. Dad and Dog awake, both looking out the window. Dog is quiet, as if it knows not to make a sound. All lights off. Dad tells me to go back to bed. I do so. The next morning after breakfast, he says I should go home, and he has me call my mom. Can't reach her. It turned out she went out for the day. Dad has a bad look. Heads out to the house to talk to the landlord. Comes back and tells me to get my gear on, meaning my hiking equipment and my bow and crap. Gets all of my stuff and heads down to him at the house. Him, the landlord, and like 3 people I hardly know are all there, plus my dad's best friend. All of them are armed. Dad had his crossbow, and same with his friend. The other guys have rifles. I'm like, WTF. Dad explains that the wolves are being chased by something, and we have to deal with it before someone gets hurt. Scared, as I really never done something like this. We go on a track into the deep woods. So the forest in this area, I'd like a giant L. You have the north and west being thick as hell. The south leads to the road, and the east leads to farms. While we are walking, we see nothing and hear nothing. This ain't normal. The dog is sniffing at everything. Suddenly it bounds off. We followed, and what we found was insane. We found a pack of dead wolves, ripped apart. Fur and blood everywhere, and bodies all over the place. It was insane. Pups and everything. Dad is pale as hell. His buddy vomited, and I'm flipping balls. You see, wolves are an apex predator. They outmatch bears when they're in a pack, and bears don't live anywhere close to where we were, and something just screws them up. Dad begins looking around. Says that there's a bunch of tracks. He thinks at least half a dozen other than the wolves. We begin looking around for anything staying close. Everyone is scared. One of the guys shouts out. We come over and look at something on the ground. A track of some sort. It was some sort of claw. Best thing I can compare it to is a lizard's. But it was hard to pick out. No one knew what it was. It was maybe 10 inches long, and with the claws 11 or 12 inches. We start following it. Eventually, we get to a part of the woods Dad's never been on the track, also seems to become more clear. It definitely was a claw, but it also had pads from the looks of it. Weird as hell. Dad thinks something is up. It's like 3 p.m. and it'll take 4 hours to get back. We mark the location on the map and head back. We all stayed in the house that night. The strange noises are heard again, and this time it sounds like right outside. I was scared. Nothing happens, though. Dad leaves early and heads to the police. Comes back at like 8 a.m. with 5 cops and a bunch of other random people. It's like a search party. Turns out some kid went missing last night. Dad thinks whatever killed the wolves did it. We all gear up and head out to the spot before. Make better time thanks to us knowing where it was. We head in and begin our search. Cops and us calling out for the kids' names. I think it was Sarah or something like that. Not sure. Eventually, we get our first clue. Some shoes, which one of the people I think the dad confirms to be hers. The cops start radio checks with the other party, and we head deeper. The cops didn't want to stop the search, so it got dark. All of us got lights, though. After about 2 hours into the night, we heard the discharge of a 12-gauge several times. The cops' radios go crazy. Something about one of the men saying he saw something. The cops suggest we head back. No one argues. About an hour in, we hear the yips. This time it was different. They sound to come from all around us and are lower. I'm scared. All I got is a bow. A cop seems to notice the lack of firepower and gives his sidearm. Not even going to bother guessing what it was, but I've shot guns before and whelp. For something so small, it was fairly heavy. We quicken our pace. We can see something stalking us, no idea what. Though I saw 4 things, Dad says there was 7. We started running and stayed close. Finally get to the house. The last group to arrive, big-ass fire and lights set up all over the place. It's like a mini stronghold. Whatever was chasing us backs off, but we can hear the yips. No sleep is gained that night. Cops calls in reinforcements, and the next day the special response unit shows up. They got full auto weapons, and apparently the military was called. There's a copter flying over the forest and everything. It was a privately owned copter that one of the people who was helping was not a military one. It was getting scary. 2 more people missing and everything. Apparently there's a roadblock preventing people from leaving the town, and Dad's phone didn't work. I was boned and scared shitless as normal. And the worst part, no one knew what was going on. Halfway through the day, the property became headquarters for the search and rescue team. I was helping. Then some military Hummers and a truck pull in. Some really strange guys come out of with the standard military gear, but they have a bad vibe. Take over and tell everyone they'll handle the situation. People with the missing family not having any of it. Military dudes compromise and say anyone who want to help can if they volunteered. I know this sounds like BS, but it's not. It happened and was terrifying. An hour later, almost everyone heads out. They'll be gone till morning. I stayed back because I was scared, but I decided to talk to some of the troops that stayed. Find very little super tight lip. Best I learn is that they were called because the police felt the situation was out of their hands. It seems like a good reason, so don't question it. Night comes and yips are heard all around. Soldiers look scared, like fully scared. A guy gets into one of the Hummers and jumps into the turret. A rifle gets handed to me and I'm told to stand near the Hummer. All the lights on, lighting up the edge of the forest. See shapes moving. They are the size of bears I see, like 12. I'm like shitting myself. They don't come close enough to give me a good sight though, so I can't give a description. The Hummer guy lets loose a burst. Holy hell, it was loud. Like I've heard shotguns, but that was loud. Screams of pain. They screamed like a dying horse. It was horrible. Yips groan in volume. I'm scared. Then it all stops. They back off. Nothing else happens. Next morning, me and the Hummer guy go to the woods to see if there is a body. Nothing but some gray fur and blood. Head back. A few hours later, the search party returns. Most seem happy, but a few are quite depressed. They found 2 of the people. They were in a tree covered in scratches, but alive and all right. Scratches were not claw marks. They probably came from running. The little kid was not found. The military says they'll deal with it. Skip ahead. Next night, the military guys head out. You can hear the gunshots and screeches all night. Sometime later, they return with several body bags, but not missing a single soldier to my knowledge. They load the bags up and head out saying it was dealt with. Everyone involved called to town hall. The military has us sign papers about the incident. Everyone does. They are not allowed to speak about or share it. The military sticks around for a while longer. A week later, they were gone. The kid was never found. Kid reported missing. It was a pretty big cover-up. Anyways, me and Dad chilling watching The Last Samurai. Dog growls. Yip sounds right outside. Sounds like 2 of them. Something smashes into the window, and I see a claw ripping at the wood. I flip myself and fall out of my seat. Dad grabs his knife and rushes to the claw and starts stabbing it. It screeches in pain, and I rush to find his crossbow. Dad loses his knife. I smash into the door and give the crossbow to Dad. He shoots out of the window. It hits and another screech. He tells me to stay with the dog and call the police and tell them they came back. He heads out with just a crossbow. I call the police and they escort me to the station. Dad is not heard from. Next day he arrives at the hospital with a broken arm and a bad concussion and some lacerations. He'll be able to leave that day. The cops ask him what happened. Dad says he killed the fuckers. He chased them down, one jumped him, he stabbed a bolt through it, and then shot the last one. I was then kicked out, but later learned he cut off the heads. Then wandered to a farm and was driven to the clinic, then sent to the hospital, which was just a bigger clinic. A military man shows up, asks us a few questions. Stuff like, how many? Where were they? And so forth. They left after having us sign more papers. Me and Dad don't speak about it. But every so often when I'm there, we hear a yip in the distance and we find deers mauled. No one talks about it, and a huge cover-up was made. A story about a serial killer was made up and how it was him who kidnapped the kid. So yeah, there's something out there that isn't like anything we've ever seen. I'm in the military now, and there's lots of strange reports. That incident also wasn't the first one, apparently. Still have no idea what they were or how my dad got out without dying. And I'm also scared of going out to the woods at night now. So does anyone have a clue?
Bigfoot confirmed, but seriously, your dad cut off the heads of these things and couldn't tell you what it looked like. Sounds like bullshit, but I really want to believe.
He never told me. And out there it's pitch black at night. Like you can't see your hand in front of your face when there's no moon. That's how dark. So he might have seen, but whenever I asked him, he would shake his head and say he didn't get a good look. He just wanted to leave and forget. And he blames the concussion. I'm positive he knows, but won't tell me for some reason.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.
There's also a Rumble archive as a backup.